am very proudly an anti-live action film watcher. There are a lot more live action films and series that are remakes of beloved previous shows and films. I am so terrified to watch any of them. I feel like it could so easily ruin the magic of the past. In my opinion, a lot of cartoons are good because they are cartoons and they simply cannot be replicated by acting. Some of their personality is something that can only be fictional. Long ramble to say, I sort of vowed in my brain to never watch any live action show. I just knew it wasn't going to be as good as the original, and I just didn't see the need to taint the image of what I used to love when I was a kid. Also, if you remember that very disturbing trailer for the Sonic movie that left everybody needing another session with the therapist, when I saw on Netflix that Avatar was going to be released as a live action series, I did not care about it. I'm not gonna lie, I really did not. I was never gonna watch it, especially because the history of Avatar and live actions has not always been the greatest. I've been seeing mixed reactions and I like things, so I decided to watch the first episode and I have a lot of different thoughts. What's up, party? Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Rumbo, yay! And for those who don't know me already, I'm an artist and I make videos just about that. So if that interests you, you might want to hit the subscribe button down below. If you see me looking at the time, it's because in 25 minutes my power is going to cut off. Live action movies and films, live action content. Why? I think in February, Netflix released a live action series for Avatar: The Last Airbender, and as a lot of people that were born in the early 2000s and lived through the 2000s, Avatar has a near and dear place in my heart. And to see that it would undergo such offensive procedures that amounted to a live action series being created of it, I was offended, insulted, actually flabbergasted. We watched it, or we? Not you. I mean, you might have, but I did not watch with you because I don't know you. I watched the first episode to see if I was going to enjoy it, and I even put a question in my community tab to you guys asking if you've watched it and your thoughts. But because it might be boring to just stare at me talking over and over and over, I also decided to have another attempt at digital art and draw a fan art of one of my gigantic childhood crushes in spirit of this video, which was Zuko from the Fire Nation. Specifically when he had this hairstyle and not the ponytail one. No offense to the ponytail, it's just not my cup of tea, innit? Good morning. It's the next day. Yeah, it was just not happening. I was rambling, rushing because I was so scared that I would get cut off because of load shedding. Welcome to the reality of living in South Africa. Let's get on to it. I was gonna do it with a time lapse of me doing a Zuko fan art. I'm so embarrassed. This is what recorded. It did not record the right screen, so here it is. Yay! I have only watched the first episode so far. I do want to finish it, so I might just make a part 2 of my thoughts after I finish the last episode, and maybe my opinions might have changed. So big emphasis, I have only watched the first episode. Before any of you come attacking me because you think I didn't give it a chance, of course I did not. But before we get on to this video, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on my post notifications so you're notified when next I upload a video. I upload weekly, so you want to make sure your notifications are turned on so you never miss a video from me. We just hit 12,000 subscribers, which is insane. Thank you so much. We are trying to get to 15,000 subscribers, and I am 100% sure that we'll be able to make that milestone. It would mean the world to me if you haven't to subscribe and share this with all your friends, please, and thank you. Comment down below if you watched the Avatar live action series. I just have to say, I don't watch a lot of media in general. The only thing I pretty much exclusively watch on Netflix is K-dramas, and if it's not K-dramas, C-dramas, and if it's not C-dramas, J-dramas, and if it's not J-dramas, Thai dramas, you get the gist. I exclusively watch very cheesy, predictable romantic comedies. I seldom dive into fantasy and action, that kind of thing. Diving into it, I just knew I wasn't really going to be prepared. Whatever preparation would look like, I don't actually know. A first thing to note is that in the series, or at least for the first episode, it doesn't start the same way that the original animated series does. This is intentional. A lot of the scenes are remixed, and the creators said they did this intentionally so that it can be its own independent drama series and not just a remake. So it starts off in the air temple and it's showing all of the airbenders, and we are introduced to Aang, as it's basically showing how the air nomads were taken over and eradicated by the Fire Nation during the festival that was happening because the Fire Nation wanted to take over the whole world. Oh no. So yeah, we start off at the air temple. We see the airbenders, the Air Nation, living in harmony, having fun. We see Gyatso and Aang, and I'm so glad they casted someone as Aang who looks his age, who looks 12. He's adorable, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really enjoy the casting here, especially because compared to the film's casting, this one was definitely a lot better. I'm just gonna say it. Oh, the scene when Kyoto's busy telling Anne that he's his friend and he'll always be his friend, I almost cried. I'm not gonna lie, I'm in an emotional state right now. What annoyed me, like, I get it, I did watch the original show, so I knew he wasn't, spoiler, he's not gonna stay around for a long time. You know when they put too much attention on a side character and you know that guy is just gonna die in like the next 20 minutes. When you're enjoying a show and then your favorite side character, they're showing him a lot more, and then you're like, wait a minute, that's too much. Why are you showing me too much of this guy? And then all of a sudden, car accident. They do show the Fire Nation they successfully eradicated the Air Nation and took over the whole world. It was cool to see that happening. Although it would have been great to watch it if I could actually see it. Nowadays, it's so frustrating. Everything is so dark, like literally dark. I literally can't see what's on my screen. I was watching the first episode during the daytime. I barely could see a lot of the intro. I'm pretty sure the cinematography was great during those moments. All I saw was moving shapes of black. Another thing about how the film was like edited or like cinematography wise, there was a lot of crispy teal and orange color grading. Like, once I noticed it, I could not unsee it. If you don't know what color grading is, it's like, most simplest way I can say is like a filter when you're editing videos and stuff like that. Then teal orange is when the shadows are a lot more teal toned and then mids and highlights are orange toned. When you pick it up, there's like a lot of teal and orange. You see this a lot in films nowadays. What I really like about this so far is like the cinematography, the establishing shots of the different regions and stuff. I think that was done really well. I like looking at the air temple and the water tribe. All of the establishing shots showing the landscapes and stuff look really cool. My one gripe, and maybe this is why I just don't like action or fantasy adventure type things, I most of the times really do not like CGI. Sometimes the fire bending and stuff like that, it looks realistic, but for the most part in my brain I'm thinking how funny it would look like when you're back in like production on set and everybody's just doing, and they just have to pretend that fire is like emanating from their palms. Another thing with CGI and stuff like that, furry things, animals, creatures sometimes look very uncanny. I was so scared to see how they would have rendered Appa. I was so scared it was going to turn into another iteration of Sonic the Hedgehog from that very cursed trailer. Appa looks cute, I'm not gonna lie. He looks adorable. They did a good job technically wise. When we go back to the scene, which is like the actual beginning of the first episode of the animated series, Katara waterbending, and then we're also introduced to Sokka. I am so annoyed by this guy. He did have a gigantic character arc, but I don't know, in the live action, every time Sokka was on the screen, I was so annoyed. In the animated series, the only saving grace, at least in the beginning, was that Sokka was also quite funny. In this live action, I feel like he's just annoying. He's just too high strung. He always looks disgusted. Like, I get that he would be stressed. Homeboy had to look after an entire tribe at the age of 13 after he lost both of his parents. So yes, it's not a fun time in his life, but We also meet Zuko, and he is sporting his very stylish ponytail. Actor has like a very similar voice to the original Zuko, which is quite impressive, and I'm glad about that. The actor who plays him, did a good job. Also, I completely forgot about the strong daddy issues that Zuko has. When he was talking about how his dad banished him, you can only come back home until you find the Avatar. That's deep. That's a lot. I feel like he needs to speak to someone about that. We also got introduced to the uncle. Why is he tall? Why is he taller than Zuko? You're not supposed to be tall. Uncle Iroh in the animated series was my favorite character. He's just like vibing most of the times with his jasmine tea. He's not supposed to be tall. He's supposed to be short. I wrote notes and I'm laughing because I said Sokka annoys me every time he's on the screen, and I think I said that about like 4 different times on my page. I feel like I was being unnecessarily rude. Right now, I think my favorite actors is Aang and Zuko. Maybe it's because it's the first episode and people just need to like relax into their roles or whatever. It just feels like everybody's reading their lines instead of speaking them. I don't know how else to explain it. Every time someone speaks, I can see that they are copying the script word for word and they're not taking it as their own and putting it into their own speech and stuff. If it's supposed to be world building-y in the sense that you want the viewer to be immersed into this whole other universe, I think trying to make it as believable as possible in the sense of making these characters feel like they're real people is very important. So when everybody's just like reading their lines word for word and there isn't a lot oomph going into it, it took me out of it a bit, I'm not gonna lie. I know I'm saying a lot. I don't know anything right off the bat about acting. I really don't. But as a consumer of media, that was my one gripe. When Aang is in the water tribe and the grandmother is breaking it to Aang that he slept for 100 years, that scene could have been a lot more dramatic and a lot more something. Aang just stood up and left. He looked like he needed to use the bathroom really quickly. We are now going to see how he trains in his different forces, and we're going to see how Katara falls more into herself being a waterbender, and we'll see Sokka being Sokka. For as much as like a mixed reaction that this thing got, my first one, even though I have complained about a bunch in this video, is it's not bad. Obviously it was never going to be as good as the original, and I don't think anyone who has had experience with any live actions or in general anyone had the expectation that it was going to do the same thing. I would have just liked a lot more humor, but even if they try humor, I don't think I would have enjoyed it. I liked the specific kind of humor that animated series had. Yes, it's still very serious and there's a lot that happens, but it still mixes it with the humor, so it's not just like one tone, you know what I mean? Casting is definitely better than the movie, so props to that, because wow. And then the other thing, the first episode, so maybe it's just gonna get better as the series goes on. I feel like they explained a lot verbally to me instead of showing it or just like alluding it. There was so much that could have been left out because it felt like they were just trying to like tell the whole story so we knew where we are. The main demographic that's gonna watch the series probably has already watched the entire Avatar: The Last Airbender series, so they know what's gonna happen or what has been happening. When everything is like explicitly explained, it defeats the purpose of having a show. So far, I'd give the show a 6 out of 10. I'm easily impressed, I'm not gonna lie. Let me know your thoughts on the show. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to react to or my thoughts on Unsolicitedly. I'm going to end off this video here and say thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, like. If you like me, subscribe. Comment down below, all that fun jazz, and until then,
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated.